Good evening and welcome back to the Loudon County Election Commission. This is Jim Thomason. I'm here with Russell Mays, and we're looking forward to bringing you the election results as soon as they're released. And it shouldn't be much longer now. The polls are officially closing unless there are lines at those locations. Again, if you're in one of those locations and in the line, you will be allowed to vote, so just be patient and hang in there. We're happy to have join us right now the mayor of Loudon County, Mr. Buddy Bradshaw. Welcome, Buddy.
Thank you very much for having me. This is always an eventful night whenever there's polls closing and everybody comes up. It's very, well, for most, it's pretty festive, at least part of the people. But just the Americanism, I guess, that's in a night like this and a place like this is just incredible.
It is, and of course, for a person like you who's not having to run this year, it was probably really enjoyable to watch everyone else work at it like that.
Last night was, I was sitting there talking to my wife. I get to sleep on the nights before the polls when I'm not in the race, and that's not always the case. But it is, and it's nice to sit back and watch and get prepared for a couple of years from now.
Well, I know that even though you haven't been campaigning for re-election this year, that you're right here in the middle of all the activity that's going on as people come to vote, and it's been a different experience this year for us as we came. How has that affected your work?
Well, of course, I'm kind of shielded from everything back in my office. My assistant, Miss Nita Wells, she, of course, greets everybody with a smile. And with the whole COVID and the way things have kind of been shaken up, you know, Susan Harrison, Tabitha Udi, and that whole staff, of course, Susan's our election. She's over our election commission. Tabitha is our right hand, and just the job they've done to create a safe and extremely efficient environment for folks to come in and vote and not have to feel in danger. They've been able to come in and do it quickly. You know, they've just done an incredible job. All of our whole team, and you know, there's many poll workers we have, and just to see what they've been able to accomplish, even with this COVID going on, has just been amazing this year. Incredible job, and my hat's off to them.
Yes, we've discussed earlier this evening what a great job she and her staff have done, not only to run the election in general, but to run it in these adverse times that she's had to deal in. How is Loudon County doing right now in the COVID?
We're still, well, from our number wise, we've kind of plateaued out a little bit. We're hanging around, I'll say a little bit under 170, a little bit above 170. Typically, that's going to fluctuate some. There's going to be peaks and valleys, and I've said often in my updates, our goal is going to be to keep our valleys low and our peaks even lower. And so we're still fighting it. We're still going against it. There's no mask mandate here in Loudon County. I still believe that's an individual right, and I encourage it. I wear a mask, not all the time, but it depends on where I'm at. If I'm in a place that requires a mask, I absolutely respect that, and we're going to fight it. I've talked with folks that have done everything possible. They don't go anywhere. They wear their masks and still have it. And so there's still a lot of unknowns with this, but not to the point. I'm not to the point that we're going to shut everything down and risk putting our economy, or especially our local economy, into some sort of a depression, minor depression, because when that happens, only people that are really affected, because most of our industries are essential, the only people that really affects is our small business owners. And we've always strived, we'll continue to strive to be a friend of the small business owner, and folks in Loudon County like to shop local. And I think that gives them that opportunity.
How is our economy doing overall, in spite of the COVID?
Incredible. Our sales tax numbers compared to last year's sales tax numbers are up over, well, I'm going to say an average of probably 44 to 45%. We've gained a whole nother tax penny just in increased revenue over sales tax. Our business tax was good. Our property tax is good. The one thing we did miss out on a little bit was some of our court costs and fines, because courts were shut down for so long. That's the money we're not going to get back. We'll collect it, but it's not money we're going to get back and recoup over the course of a year, but we'll get it eventually. But you look at our sales tax numbers, I tell you, when the state legislature, and hats off to them, when they passed the internet sales tax, I don't know if they really knew what the effect was going to be. And it's been just overwhelming in East Tennessee as a whole. Every Friday, myself and 9 other East Tennessee mayors, we get on a conference call, just compare notes, and the sales tax everywhere is through the roof.
And a lot of that is due to the internet sales that are taking place.
I wish I had a specific breakdown. I suspect it is. And a lot of people, are not going very far to shop. And so I think that's part of it. And right now, I talked to Larry Waters, the Sevier County mayor, and they're getting about 200,000 new people every Saturday. And of course, Lenore City, exit 81 is a bypass, sometimes 72. But Lenore City is a kind of we tag it the Lakeway to the Smokies, and so we get traffic off there going into the Smokies that want to take the more scenic route, and those folks are going to stop and fill up, maybe buy a candy bar, stop and eat even. And so I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and I think a lot of it is just folks in Loudon County supporting Loudon County.
Well, that's great. Loudon County over the last several years has been a mecca for employment. Are we still hitting those high numbers of employment, or still a great demand for employees?
We were around 15% in April, which was the highest it's been in a long, long time. And right now we were right around 4.5% roughly. And that being said, you can go to virtually any industry in this county and they'll put you to work. And so I think people are now that the stipend, the extra $600 has run out, I think we're going to see more and more. We'll see that number go down because, like I said, the jobs are out there. People just have to be willing to go get them.
Well, you can't help but notice as you come into town the billboards where they advertise sign-on bonuses and many perks trying to get people to come and apply for the jobs.
Yeah, and it's just not in Loudon County too. I sit on the TRDA board, and so the Tellico West Industrial Park is under that board, under that IDB, and so every plant out there is hiring. The jobs are out there. It's a matter of, getting folks out and getting them to work. That's the thing. There's some folks that can't, and then there's some folks that won't. And it's the ones that won't that's keeping our number elevated right now. And like I said, and you can go in this case. I was talking to Dennis Brennan Saturday before the Halloween parade, and they're hiring. We're talking about a job you walk in, and you're going to make $50,000 first year. And but they can't get people. And so that's one of the goals, I think, as we look around some of the expansion, some of the developments coming in around in Lenore City and Loudon City both. I think that's going to be maybe even a target or a place for go, because some of these jobs are good enough. People will relocate for them, especially if you're coming from a high unemployment area. You come to somewhere where you're going to make a very good salary. You can raise a family on, and you can provide. Then I think we'll see those homes start to pick up and sell, and I think we'll see our unemployment get even lower.
Well, that's great. Do you see, are there still a lot of new businesses that are expressing interest in coming to Loudon County?
We've got several that are coming. The thing about Loudon County is that we are out of flat land. Site prep is a huge expense for massive industries that want to come in. The Greenback Peninsula, of course, we have Christensen Yachts. They are slowly but surely coming along, and they're going to come open. They're just not in any great rush right now. But Loudon County is out of flat land, and right now the trend, so to speak, is spec buildings. TRDA, we've got a little bit of a program we've got worked out that we're experimenting with a gentleman, and he builds the spec building, and yet he doesn't pay us till it sells. Now we let him have the property to build it on, and he's already, this one particular building we've got is already had 5-6 offers on it, and it's not even completed yet. We'll recoup that money. So spec buildings are the hot thing right now, and right now Loudon County itself doesn't have any, but we've got some smaller industries that are coming.
Well, that's great. That's great. I think one of the things that you notice when you drive around Loudon or Lenore City, or it seems like anywhere you turn the corner, there's, the delivery company. What's the truck? Amazon. I couldn't come up with the way. Amazon trucks. And I noticed they're beginning to empty out.
They're finally going on. So, my goal will be, he is the CEO of Morgan Olson, not just here in Loudon, but the entire company. He called me, I guess it's been about 4 years ago, maybe 5. And he called me, he said, let's go eat lunch. And I thought, well, now, that's odd, because Mike's not usually a contact I talk too much. And I said, okay, yeah, sure. They said, we're getting into the electric bus market. And of course, now that's all you see. Amazon's eventually going to be 100% electric buses that they deliver with. And he said, I'd like to build it here in Loudon County. I said, well, that'd be great. What can we do? He said, you have to guarantee me 700 employees. And I said, well, can you pay them $45,000, $50,000 a year? He goes, I can't do that. And I said, well, I can't promise you that then. And so they ended up in, I think, one of the Carolinas, and they're up and going. And And that's the story of every industry in here. We got the jobs, we just don't have the people that work them yet.
Well, that's sad to hear. I have seen their commercials on TV talking about going to all electric and wondered how that would affect the plant here in Loudon.
It'll trend down a little bit. Of course, the UPS is still the number one coming out of that factory, in spite of all the Amazon trucks that you see. And so I think the last time I spoke with the plant manager, and that's been a while, there was at least a 6-month wait for the UPS trucks coming out. Mm-hmm. And this was originally, when this plant first went in, and of course it was when I had just taken office and was my first big land, so to speak, my first big grab. This was going to be 100% UPS production. So they varied off a little bit and went to some Amazon trucks put in there, and said they're starting to distribute those now.
Well, they've really been a great addition to the county, and the employment base, the wage base, just the economic activity that they generate, and I'm sure that they're generating a lot of peripheral activity too, not just in the plant itself.
And of course, Mr. Oilby, he is a Cleveland, Tennessee native, and they love it down here. And their place up in Sturgis, Michigan, they had to quit drug testing just to get folks into work. And there's a company up there that does, seems like they do the big RVs that pays an outstanding wage, and they kind of have a hard time competing with them. They'll get somebody trained up, give them some experience, and they seem to hire them away. So, there was talk at one time of them moving everything down here. I don't know if that's still on the table or not. But about once every few years, they'll have a little get-together, and then I'll have a chance to talk. And next time we do one, I'm going to ask and see.
Okay, well, good. Well, of course, every time that I interview, I ask you how the courthouse is coming along. Is anything happening?
Absolutely. Of course, the good news is you don't see anybody working on the outside because they're on the inside working.
That's good.
There are some pictures on my Facebook page. Of course, it's a few weeks back I posted, and I may put them up again. But work's going on the inside. We're going to hopefully do a walkthrough video with Chip here before too long. We're going to get that cleared with the supervisor of the site, and to see it on the inside, see the work progress, because I know it's frustrating, and believe me, it was no more frustrating than anybody than me that it was for me. But to see the work on the inside, see progress made, even though it's not always easy to see, is just a great thing. We're going to get her back up, and we're going to return her to her former glory.
Well, that'll be an exciting time when
Absolutely.
That happens, and it'll be a beautiful time on the courthouse square. The last thing I want to ask you about is we got the new jail open now, I believe, and I saw a walkthrough of that, and it was really a nice facility.
It is, and that is. So that's one of those projects started before I was in office, and I'm glad to see it come to fruition. It's safer, and when I say safer, not just for inmates, but for deputies as well, our jailers. And that's the important thing, is keeping those safe. Of course, we don't want anybody to ever get hurt. But, like I'll go back to my days with Loudon Police Department, might be booking somebody in, and maybe another jailer in the room and 15 inmates coming strolling through, and you kind of thank goodness that inmates aren't very organized. But this is a state-of-the-art. Jake Keener, of course, over the jail, Chief Deputy Jimmy Davis, and Sheriff Tim Guider, Susan Husky, my purchasing director. I can't speak highly enough of her on the job she did, not only finishing out a new jail, but also she kind of handles all the paperwork and overcoming in the new courthouse, or the reconstruction of the courthouse as well. And the County Commission, this has been such a team effort, and it's a state-of-the-art facility. It's safer than it's ever been, and hopefully it'll hold us for years to come.
Well, we appreciate the work that you and all your team are doing. I know it's a team project that you have to work together. You have to have good people working around you, and it appears that everything's running nicely in the county.
Well, I tell you, I give all the credit to my team. That's true. Inside this building, and I've got a few offices under my umbrella outside here, but we're all on the same page. We all have the same goal, and that is to make Loudon County better today than it was yesterday. From my department heads, Miss Susan Husky, like I said, purchasing director. Miss Tracy Blair is my finance director. Couldn't go without her. Maybe not go without her. So I've already told her she's not allowed to retire, so I'm ready. But Brian Brown, our maintenance facilities director. Miracle Nichols, our animal shelter. Chris Parks, our recycling director. Jim Jenkins, our codes director. Greg Montooth, he's our new planner for Loudon County, and I hope I've not forgotten somebody. I'm going down. I think that's about all my department heads. It's about them and their staff. We got the 1.1 million grant from the state, kind of relief grant when all this happened. Miss Tracy Blair, one of her employees, Miss Amy Langley, who's over our grants administrator, found us another $800,000 from the state of Tennessee. So, we're all in it to make Loudon County great. To keep Loudon County great. We're already great. We want to keep us there.
Well, all right. That sounds good. Well, we appreciate your time very much tonight. I know you're probably got things to do. We appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. And I'm going here maybe sharpen up my math skills, see who's winning.
Well, just tell them to send it our way when you get your math.
Absolutely.
We appreciate. We've been talking to Loudon County Mayor Buddy Bradshaw, and we appreciate him and his work very much. Russell, have you got anything going on in returns over there?
Well, the good news is we're 15 minutes past poll closing time, which means that you will not be asked on the Facebook feed anymore, have you voted? So that's good news for everyone. But things beginning to happen pretty quickly. The Associated Press and other news agencies has already declared Donald Trump the winner in the state of Tennessee. So that's already basically from the time the polls close, he was projected the winner. Also, Bill Hagerty will be the next United States Senator from the state of Tennessee, taking over from Lamar Alexander, taking his spot. So it is those two big races here in Tennessee have already been pretty much called. So we already know who wins there. So now it's just a matter of fact of some of the local elections and finding out who wins those, and then taking a look at the nationwide election for president. So right now, as we have it, taking a look at different news agencies right now, as far as president goes, of the states that have been called or predicted, at least by one news agency, for Donald Trump, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, Oklahoma, and Tennessee have gone for Donald Trump. Right now for Joe Biden, Vermont, Virginia, Massachusetts, the District of Columbia, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. So that is...
Don't think there are any surprises there.
No, I think yes, if they've been called at this point, pretty much that means that it is Indiana has also gone for Trump. I did see that and forgot to mention that as well. So right now, it looks like 5 states for Trump, and it looks like 6 states for Biden, and the District of Columbia added to that. So at this point in time, it's basically the ones that were pretty cut and dried have been called at this point. So the big battleground states, we probably won't know for quite a while.
Well, I hope we will get some. We will be getting some results in soon of early voting, and then the precincts will start to come in one by one. And it's going to be interesting to see the trends that take place as to whether the president, who we probably can expect to win in Loudon County, just like he was expected to win in the state of Tennessee. It'll just be an interesting matter, though, to see what his margin of victory is compared to what it was in 2016.
Yeah, I believe it was about 75% in 2016 for Donald Trump here in Loudon County. And there's been a lot of excitement, again, on both sides. Turnout, you never know about turnout. Typically, you would say low turnout would favor the incumbent, because that typically means everyone's satisfied.
Yeah.
A larger turnout would indicate a good opportunity for the challenger to make up some ground. But I don't know if that's going to be the case in this election, because I think there's so much enthusiasm on both sides of the ledger. So it is definitely probably one of the most unusual elections that we've had to deal with. Knowing that going in, I would think the year 2000 election with Bush and Gore probably may be the most unusual we've had up until this point, but we weren't expecting that.
Right.
That
right.
completely came out of nowhere, that election became so unusual. I think we're expecting some odd things to maybe happen tonight.
Well, it's 2020. If
yes,
it doesn't turn out to be odd, it's
right.
not right.
That's right. That is definitely right. That would definitely be a great way to cap off what has definitely been a trying year for all of us. But in talking to the mayor, it's very exciting to hear so many exciting things happening right here in Loudon County, despite of the fact of everything going on with the coronavirus and the hit that was to the community. It certainly sounds like that Loudon County's still fighting it, but looks like that they're going to come out of it as strong as ever. Well,
we certainly hope so. We pray for that for everyone. Loudon County it's an interesting place as far as the Republican Democrat type thing goes. It's tended more since the year 2004 to become even more Republican and less Democrat. And for instance, in 2004, when George Bush and John Kerry were running against each other, the Republican percentage for Bush at that time was 71%, and the Democrat, Kerry, received about 29%, so they sort of split it 70-30 type. By the time you get to the 2016 race of Trump and Clinton, the Republican has moved up to 75%, and the Democrat down to 21%, and there are now 3 or 4% of third parties coming in, but the Republicans have been on a trend of increasing their margins throughout the county over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, which is definitely interesting, considering in a place like Knoxville, not that far away, you're seeing the Democrats take more of a hold within the city of Knoxville, but that's definitely not the case here in Loudon County overall. As just taking a look at some numbers real quick. One of the battleground states is Florida, and it looks like right now Trump with 50% of the vote that's in right now in Florida, Biden with 49%. And right here in the state of Tennessee, here are some of the totals right now, and these are statewide totals right now for Donald Trump: 161,957 votes. Biden with only 60,000 votes, so over a 100,000 vote lead right now for Donald Trump in the state of Tennessee. And lagging quite a way behind is none other than the entertainer Kanye West. At this point, 336 votes across the state of Tennessee has been cast for Kanye West.
Well, who knows what could happen later as the night goes on and the Kanye West supporters come out.
Yeah, they'll probably come out a little bit. They might finish strong. We'll have to see how that goes. But that's talking about again 2020, and one of the more interesting sidelights of this election has been that factor, and it could possibly sway some people. Who it's going to sway votes away, and maybe in a battleground state it might make a little bit of difference. Who knows?
That's true, and really when it comes down to it, it is what happens in those battleground states that really matters.
Yeah, so
you can pile up your lead all you want to in some states, and for instance,
right,
that 100,000 in Tennessee is not going to mean anything in the long run.
No, basically it's gone. Trump has gone for Tennessee. Tennessee's gone for Trump, and he gets those 11 electoral votes, and that's basically all there is to be said as far as that goes. And now it's just a matter of coming up with the final totals in the presidential election here in Tennessee. But we are standing by and waiting, and typically the practice has been we won't get those early voting and absentee numbers, which those are the first numbers we get, until everyone has voted and all the precincts have closed throughout Loudon County. Now, one of the issues at hand is there's been so many more early and absentee votes cast in Loudon County, so we're just kind of waiting with bated breath to see what those numbers are, because those numbers will probably, for the local elections, give us a real good idea of who the winners are going to be.
That's correct. We have found over the years that when you look at the early voting, that's pretty much a predictor of what's going to happen.
Yeah, and
just a matter of changing the numbers.
Yeah, and with so many more people going and participating in early voting, that will definitely be the case. So we just kind of are sitting and waiting right now on the first batch of totals, and typically the way that it goes, and again, everyone here at the Loudon County Election Commission does such an outstanding job of keeping us informed and running these elections in a very efficient manner. And I think everyone has great confidence in the job that they do, and I think that is a great tribute to them. But typically when we get those first early voting totals, things start coming in pretty rapidly, and we have a hard time keeping up with it. So it's right now we're kind of in a situation where we're playing hurry up and wait, and then once we start getting some totals, they'll begin to come in pretty rapidly as we hear from all parts of Loudon County here on election night.
And you mentioned sitting here with bated breath. I have a suggestion that we catch our bated breath for just a moment. And before we take a break here, though, we want you to remember that you're listening to us on 96.1 WLNT, Magic 104.1, 97.1 Cool FM, and on redskinradio.com. We'll be back as soon as we get some results.